What it do, YouTube? It's your boy JR3, and I'm back with another movie review. Today, we have for you Thor Love and Thunder. Yes, I have finally seen Thor Love and Thunder. This is actually my second time seeing it. The first time I seen it, I didn't really have all my thoughts together, and I said I didn't want to put a review out until I got a chance to see it again. But I just got done watching on Disney Plus. Now I'm ready to give you my review. It was a good movie to me. I honestly don't see where all the hate was coming from. I can see, what people said it was too comedic, where, it was like another Ragnarok 2.0, but Ragnarok was a good movie to me. I do see what people said it was too comedic. First, to start off, like, with gore, like, I enjoyed Gore. I didn't really understand him as much as I did Thanos, but I understood where he was coming from. A lot of people were like, he's a god butcher, and we didn't get to see him, butcher any gods. Only, he cut the head off of the one god, in the beginning. But, we didn't see him, kill anybody else after that. And I'm like, he really wasn't out on a mission, even though he said, all gods will die. He really wasn't out, on that type of mission. He was really trying to get Thor's, Stormbreaker, so he could access Infinity and basically get his daughter back, because his daughter had died. And I can see where he kind of went off the edge, because his daughter died, and then he to start off, his daughter had died, and then of course he found that land that had all the fruit and stuff, and then the guy was there, and he was basically like, my daughter died, in your name, like, we did all this in your name, and you're saying you're not gonna help us. And then, the guy basically, made a fool of him, and was like, yeah, there is no help for you and all that. So yeah, he cut his head off, I was like, I can see, him turning out, because it's just, I want my daughter back. That's basically what he was going. Thor, I enjoyed Thor. I enjoyed him throughout the whole entire movie. Him, basically, it was him dealing with, his loss of love. And then you got to understand, that Thor has been through a lot. I know we all know, from the beginning, he lost Loki, he lost his dad, lost his mom, he lost Jane, and all that. I understand, we all know what Thor has went through the movie. But, I thought it was going to be like the What If episode where he started off as Party Thor. It wasn't necessarily like that. It was more so like he started off just basically, even though he was doing all this fighting, it was like he lost himself, and he's still trying to find himself, out of all the things he's been through. Like, he's still trying to find himself. So then, he goes down there in that first fight, and of course, he's got the bedazzled jacket on and stuff. That's where it kind of felt like the Party Thor. Because if y'all seen some of the moves he was doing, when he stopped the two rockets from colliding, by basically jumping and stopping them with his legs and stuff, like, I was like, okay, what? But, like, that, it really wasn't, like, just me complaining. It was just like, really, bro? Like, what? So, of course, they won that fight. Then, the comedic side of it is the reward for the fight was the goats. And, of course, every time the goat was on screen, it was the Screaming Man. You know the one I'm talking about. It was the Screaming Man. Every time the goat was on screen, that's all it was. Now, that did get on my nerves a little bit. But I was like, it's just comedic. But, I could have dealt with that every time you see them, they screaming. Like, I could have dealt with that. Now, as far as Jane, her story, I enjoyed it. They are dealing with, like the comics, where Mjolnir is helping Jane, but it's killing Jane at the same time. Like, I enjoyed, her seeing her as the woman version of Thor, as female Thor. Now, it was the part, what part was it? The part when she's in the restroom and she drops Mjolnir, and the camera pans up and you can just see how weak and frail she's in. and you don't see her get back well till she picks up in there. That part had got me because I was like, bro, like that's what I'm saying. I don't see where the hate was coming from, because even though it was comedical, the parts that hit you, they still landed. Like, because I'm like, you still feel what she's going through, like. And then, so, you know, her being diagnosed with that stage 4 cancer and all that. And then we finally get to understand, you know, their breakup that Thor talked about in Thor Ragnarok, when he told Loki, you know, it was a mutual breakup. We get to see that little montage, you know, and it really wasn't like honestly, from what I seen, I don't necessarily call it a breakup on any parts. It was just, they got busy, and, you know, it was just like they kind of split, but didn't necessarily, not one of them say, you know, hey, I think we might need to break up. It was just, you know, Thor was out saving the world, Jane was, you know, doing her stuff. And then, so, you know, that's basically what happened. But, you know, we see that Thor did speak to Mjolnir, and he basically told Mjolnir, you know, to protect Jane. Which, that's when Jane decides, you know, it's time for her to go to New Asgard to use, you know, that Thor card, you know, to see if she can battle this cancer. And she goes to New Asgard, which has become a tourist attraction. And I mean, yes, a serious tourist attraction. There are cruise ships and everything. Honestly, I wish that was real. I would take a cruise to New Asgard. And, you know, they built around, because can't nobody else pick up Mjolnir, even the shattered pieces of Mjolnir, except for Thor, or those who are worthy. So they built around the exact spot where Mjolnir was shattered, where Hela, you know, had broke up Mjolnir and shattered. So they can't move those pieces, so they built around there. Well, of course, when Jane gets there, and she gets around the pieces, of course, you know, you see the thunder and the lightning start to roll in and stuff. Hence, you know, Mjolnir is basically about to shoot Jane. So then that's when Thor, he sees what's going on, you know, in his in New Asgard, when they're basically being attacked by, of course, Gore. And you know, so Thor, he goes back and all that. Well, then, you know, during the fight, that's, you see, if you've seen the little short clip, or even if you've seen the movie, you know, that's when, you know, basically it's like Thor and Mjolnir were going to reunite. Well, then that's when he first sees Jane, you know, as the female Thor. And, you know, so then that's when we get our little first fight with Gore. Well, then, you know, going on from there, he's trying to rally his team or whatever. He's got Korg, he's got King Valkyrie, he's got Jane, and he's got himself. You know, he tries to go to Zeus, you know, to, you know, rally them. Well, of course, Zeus didn't like him. And, you know, Zeus wanted to just play his cool or whatever. They get into that fight, and basically, you know, you think that he's killed Zeus, because he's basically, Zeus sends a lightning bolt, you know, and basically you thought he killed Korg. He didn't really kill Korg, he just shattered him into a whole bunch of rocks. Thor, he throws a lightning bolt at Thor. Thor catches it and throws it back. And when he throws it back, it goes through Zeus' chest. So you thinking that he's killed Zeus because Zeus falls and everything. Well, you don't find out till the end of the movie, but Zeus, actually, you know, now that I think about it, Zeus did send Hercules. Like at the end of the movie, you see the end credit of Zeus basically sending Hercules out for Thor. But I don't know if in that end credit if Zeus died or not, because it basically, you know, you see him basically telling Hercules what to do, and then like it shows Hercules and then it goes off. So I don't know if Zeus died after that or not. But from when Thor threw the lightning bolt, it didn't kill him, you know, first thing on impact or whatever, because you see him in the post-credit scene. Then, so of course, you know, they leave there, and then they're going to the little dark dimension or wherever they go to basically confront Gore. And basically all that Gore is wanting is for Thor to show up with Stormbreaker because that's what's gonna power, what he needs in order to get to eternity so he can ask for his daughter back. And of course, that's what basically, Gore, really just like Thanos, he knows how to basically play on what you're needing or what you want, your desire or whatever. So, Gore basically, he traps Valkyrie and he traps, Jane. And he basically, tells Thor, like, I lost my daughter, and all this and that. He's like, I can help you. He was like, all you have to do is choose love and give me what I want. And Thor is basically, seeing that Jane, is about to die. And he basically knows now that she has cancer because she told him when they was on their way there. And, he knows that he loves her so much. He calls the axe. But then they get into a fight. They know they can't win the fight, so they end up leaving. And, they end up leaving. And I think when they left, he did leave. Yeah, he did. So when they ended up leaving, Gore did end up getting Stormbreaker. But they ended up leaving, and they went back to New Asgard and stuff, where, Jane, on the impact that they landed, she basically had lost Mjolnir. And Thor sees her, trying to crawl just to reach Mjolnir. And he sees how frail and stuff she's gotten. And, so then she's in the hospital. And, they basically tell her, that, they're going to do all they can. But it's looking like, she's going to die. And Thor, he's not, he doesn't agree with that. And they're like, the same thing that's helping her, which is Mjolnir, is also killing her. So, of course, Thor goes back into the room where she is, and he basically says, he has to go out to stop Gore, and, you have to stay here. And she's like, you can't tell me, just to not go out there and fight and just stay in here, where I'm just basically waiting to die. And Thor's like, look, I love you too much. You have to stay here. And then, so, that's when he goes off to fight. Well, the cool scene, he goes out to fight. Of course, I forgot to mention, the first fight when they got into the altercation with Gore, in New Asgard, Gore basically stole, all of New Asgard's children. And so he was basically keeping them, locked away. And then the reason Thor got to see where they're at is because one of the children he stole is Heimdall's son. And Heimdall's son has the same powers that he has, where, Thor can see through his eyes and stuff. So Thor knows exactly where they are. So Thor goes, to rescue them. And basically, just for a limited time only, because he needs the armor to fight, he gives the children the power of Thor. And they went off. They went off with, just for a limited time only, they went off with the power of Thor. So, Thor and Gore, they get at it and they're fighting and stuff. And then, just like in Endgame, just when it look like Thor, just like when it look like it's about to be it for Thor, like Thor's about to die. You remember in Endgame where Thanos was smashing, Stormbreaker into Thor's chest? Well, just when you thought it was about to be the end, Mjolnir went and hit his head and then flew back and Cap had it. Well, kind of the same thing. It looked like it's about to go sideways for Thor. There goes Mjolnir. You already know. It's Jane. And she goes, Jane, she went off. And she went off. It was at one point, because Gore has the sword. I forgot what the sword was called, but it can basically kill any gods. And she throws Mjolnir and it breaks the sword. And she calls Mjolnir back. And of course, because Mjolnir has been shattered, when she throws it, it breaks all into pieces. But when she calls it back, it forms back into Mjolnir. When she calls it back, it collides with the sword pieces and forms Mjolnir back. So now all the sword pieces are inside of Mjolnir. And then, she basically does her little lightning or whatever, and she basically puts an end to that. Which, in return, was the last blow that basically killed her. Yeah. So, with that being, the last blow that killed her, now they're basically facing, not infinity, eternity. And, Gore basically tells Thor, basically just save his daughter and stuff. Because Thor basically tells Gore, you go ahead and get what you go ahead and get what you want. Thor is basically like, I'm done fighting. I just want to be by the woman I love, as she is dying. And, of course, before she dies, they both confess they love to each other. She kissed him, and then Gore is so moved by, Thor choosing love that he basically was like, he can't do this, and he just basically, asked Thor to take care of his daughter, because as his daughter comes back, Gore's dying. So he was like, just take care of his daughter. So basically, Thor adopts Gore's daughter as his own, which I did not know was actually Chris Hemsworth's daughter. So, that's kind of a little fun, father and daughter fun right there. So he basically adopts her as his own. And so, yeah, that was basically the movie. And then I think, the post-credit, you see Heimdall basically, entering Jane into Valhalla, I think that's how you say it, Valhalla or whatever. And, because she was a god, because she was female Thor, she gets to go up there. So you see her, and then that's when the other scene is when you see Zeus basically put a hit out on Thor through Hercules. And that was basically the movie. I mean, it was a good movie. Like I said, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they were in there, so they were in there just for a little. They were like in there for like the first fight, because of course Thor left with them in Endgame. So of course they were in there until they went their separate ways. Like I said, it was comedic, but at the same time, it still hit and landed where it needed to land. But like I said, and then like the goats, like I said, still could have dealt with that all the screaming. But that was my review for those are my thoughts on Thor Love and Thunder. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time, it's your boy JR3, and I holla at you.